Hello, welcome back to another episode of Classic Mini Restoration with me, Mini Tom. So, in this episode, I am doing something on the car which I have been meaning to do since the day it was MOT, and that is to get the wheel alignment done. And the way I'm doing it is I'm doing it myself. And I was trained to do this a few years ago. I was trained on the laser gauges and the old Dunlop optical gauges, and they were fantastic. I much preferred them. The setup that I have lent off a friend. He got them himself for free from the actual inventor. So Track Ace, if you are watching this, thank you very much. And your kit seems okay. It's a bit like the same principle of the old Dunlop gauges, where you are actually aligning with total sort of toe in and toe out, rather than doing individual toe in and toe out, which is more common on sort of like the laser gauges. Sort of the 4 corner gauges that you'd see in most garages nowadays. So I'll talk a bit about wheel alignment and how it can affect your car. So you've got three main parts of wheel alignment. You've got caster, which is sort of the way in which your wheel points in your wheel arch. The easiest way to explain caster is if you imagine a shopping trolley, when you're pushing it along, the actual wheel is pulled backwards of the pivot point in the actual assembly of it all. So when you're pushing your trolley forwards, your wheels are sort of pulled back. The reason you have caster is to sort of self-align and self-center your steering wheel. The more caster you have, the more you'll have that. The less you have, you'll kind of be fighting it a little bit. So caster is quite important, and it's basically sort of like I say, it's a center line between sort of your wheel here and as to where it is in your wheel arch. So if you imagine it's like that, if I'm in the front of the car now, you want your caster back slightly, just like that, so that it's going to self-center. You also get a self-center effect from sort of your toe in and your toe out as well. But that's caster in a nutshell. Camber is, sorry, I've got something in my mouth. How your wheels actually, how straight it is, like that. So you can have camber that way, and you can have camber that way. Now, generally, you want a little bit in, a little bit of caster in, a bit like that. So this is your alloy wheel side. You want a little bit of caster in, but not crazy amounts. And you'll see a lot of lowered cars where they've got crazy amounts of caster. Camber is the angle at which your wheel is sort of parallel to the road. So when you lower a car, obviously you drop in the suspension down, which in turn will raise the sort of the wheel up. And what tends to happen is your wheel will sort of raise up a bit like that. So that's when you sort of see camber on cars. It can add performance, handling characteristics dependent on what setup you're going for, but generally for sort of road use, you want your wheels to be fairly straight and parallel, and that way you're not going to get sort of uneven tyre wear. The reason that you have things like camber is because if you're hard cornering, on a racetrack for example, the centre of gravity of the car is pushing it that way. You want your wheel to maintain contact with the road in the corner. So on a straight line, it doesn't matter if you've got a little bit of camber in there on a straight line, because you're not using all that grip, you don't need it all. But when you're cornering, you want that tyre as flat to the road as you possibly can. So that's why you have a little bit of camber. Like I said, not as important on a road car really. But you do want these sort of things. You want your caster and your camber to be in line with your manufacturer instructions with your car. But we're not looking at any of them. We are looking today at your toe in, your toe out. So your toe in, so your sort of normal wheel alignment, which everyone refers to. So you've got toe in and toe out. Now, if you imagine that I'm sort of in the driver's seat right now, and I'm looking out towards the front of my car that way, towards you guys, then you can have positive toe, which is toe in, like that. So your wheels will point in towards your engine, or you can have negative toe, where your wheels will point out towards sort of the curb and the middle of the road. Now, front wheel drive cars normally have a little bit of toe out, because when you sort of start driving, your sort of suspension pulls them back into line. But yeah, generally speaking, most cars on the roads don't run a true 0 degree toe. They will either have a bit of positive or a bit of negative. Measured in 2 different ways. You can measure that in millimeters, and you can also measure that in degrees and minutes. Now, like I say, it's probably not noticeable most of the time, because you're running sort of probably less than 1 degree and a little bit here and there, but it is quite important. The reason it's important is for a few different things. So this one can affect quite a lot of things. It's quite simple. So this is a fairly new tyre. You can get sort of increased tyre wear dependent on toe in and toe out. Now, if you have, again, this is the sort of driver's side. If you've got too much toe in, like that, you will start scrubbing the outside edge of this tyre here, and that will start going bald before everywhere else. So that's a good indication. If you do check your tyres regularly, you will start to notice parts of your tyre wearing more. That's because your wheel alignment's not right. And again, the same thing, if you have too much toe out, you'll scrub the inside edge of your tyre, so you'll see that one starting to go bald. You can tell a lot from your tyres. You can also tell if you've got an overinflation. So an overinflation, you start wearing the middle part here, which is just sort of there. And that's because obviously you've got a bit of a ballooned effect there, so you will start wearing that bit. And obviously opposite, if you underinflate your tyres, the middle part sort of dips in when it hits the road, so your shoulders of your tyre actually wear quicker as well. So you can tell quite a lot. Now obviously if you are running excessive toe in, toe out and all that sort of stuff, that can lead to bad handling because obviously you're not using your tyres properly. You can have sort of a decreased fuel economy because you're using more of your power of your engine to scrub that tyre away, and that's what's happening in my case. I'm scrubbing the tyres, which you'll see in a little bit. My tyres now, I am running a hell of a lot of toe in, and that's purely because I haven't done the alignment, and I am starting to sort of see ridges on the tyres, which were fairly new when I had them as well. So it is wearing them really quickly, and you can feel it, and you can sense it, and you can also touch the tyres; they're getting quite warm. Sort of another indication of uneven sort of toe alignment. You might pull to one side when you're driving along. If you're sort of driving along on a nice straight road, and you don't let go of a steering wheel, but if you just sort of hold it really loosely, you might feel the car starting to wander to one side. You might even brake a little bit differently on either side, depending on how much toe in and toe out you've got at that point. So if your car's not going in a straight line, it's a good indication your wheel alignment isn't perfect. There can be other things that affect it as well, like worn suspension components, worn brakes, just generally bad fitting subframes can affect it quite badly on a Mini as well, because they do tend to crab quite a lot, the Minis. But yeah, it's something I need to do. It's the first time I've used these specific gauges, so we'll get them set up, we'll get everything done that I need to get done, and we'll have a go. So like I mentioned to you, you can have quite a lot of different variances with sort of your setup in regards to toe in and toe out. When you are doing any wheel alignment adjustments, you want to make sure that your tyre pressures are all good and the same and what they're supposed to be. You want to make sure that your tyres are all fairly evenly worn. You want to make sure that if you have, you obviously have to check your manufacturing instructions of your car, your Haynes manual, anything like that. In some cars you are required to put a ballast in either the front, the back, passenger seat, driver seat, you know, to sort of set the car up correctly. So you may be required to put a ballast in there, probably about half a tank of fuel as well. Your suspension components, bushes, ball joints, all that sort of stuff want to be in really good condition, as do your track rod ends. They are vital to this operation, and your steering rack as well. So you want to make sure that everything's running absolutely spot on before you do any of this, because anything you do now is going to affect things down the line. Now, if you was to have a badly driving car, for example, and you did the wheel alignment, you set it up perfectly, and then in 6 months' time there was a big knocking and a clunking coming from the front of your car because of a worn suspension component, that could have been the reason why you wasn't driving perfectly in the first place, and then you've just messed up the wheel alignment, which didn't need doing at that point. So it is vital to check all these things first, make sure everything's greased up. When you do start to do this sort of process, you should sort of push the car into a flat level surface. Just push it in as, you know, just as slow as you can do. Let the steering centralise itself, and then you want to lock your steering wheel in a sort of position. You can use like a bit of tape to sort of make sure that you're not going offline. You can get gadgets which hold onto your steering wheel and your seat to keep it aligned. In the Mini, it's quite good because in the passenger seat, if you lift up your carpet, you'll see your steering rack sort of bolts. There's 2 U-bolts either side, and it's roughly about the same sort of level anyway. You'll see a rubber bung in your passenger seat. If you pop that bung out, it's a 7/32 Allen key. Just take a little nut out that's on your steering rack, and you can put a drill bit or a little bit of bar or punch, or even the 7/32 Allen key. Pop that in there, wiggle your steering about a little bit, and you should find the central point. Now that's quite useful if, for example, your steering wheel's being off or it's being changed and you don't know exactly where that steering wheel should go. you can find a pretty good centre point from just popping something in your steering rack, and then you can find that if your steering is aligned. So I've just done that now because I didn't know if my steering wheel was in the right position, because mine is sort of way down here when I'm driving. So I have done that, and my steering wheel is in the correct position. So rather than locking it all off, I've just left the Allen key in there. It's just going to stop that side-to-side movement. Aside from that, just loosen your track rod ends off, loosen the lock nuts off, sorry. Make sure that the threads are nice and free. And with this sort of adjustment we're doing here, this is total towing. So you're not going to do sort of one wheel and then do the other wheel, or like that. You're not going to do them individually like you could do on like a 4-corner laser setup. This is measuring total tow. So it's a bit like the old Dunlop gauges. They measure total tow. These ones do exactly the same thing. So you need to make sure that your track rod ends and your steer and your tie rod ends are the same length, basically. So you don't want one pointing this way, because if you say do an equal turn on each side, you might end up with it being like that, or you might end up with it being sort of just a little bit more. So you want to make sure that your wheels are sort of, doesn't matter if they're out, they can be out here or they can be out here, but as long as them lengths are the same, you've got an equal measurement to decrease them or increase them by. So you're going to move them at the same pivot point each time, if that makes sense. So make sure that everything's sort of equalised and centralised before you do anything with total tow gauges. And then you're going to make equal adjustments on each side at the same time, and then you're going to re-measure and check and do measurements bit by bit until you get it precise. Now I have checked, because I did record this in little bits, so later on in the video I do check the Haynes manual, and it's 1.58 millimeters tow out, or so I say negative tow. That translates quite usefully in the track ace gauges that I've got. It has got a conversion chart in the back, and the way that you read that, so I've got 12-inch wheels, and if you can see it, I've got 12-inch wheels, and I've got my millimeters here, and it's got between 1 and 2, and if I look at 12-inch, I've got 11 to 23 minutes. So that's 0 degrees, 23 minutes. Now I want to shoot for about 20 to 22 minutes, which you measure, I'll go through it as well. On the gauge, you've got 0, then you've got tow in and tow out. You've got 1 degree there and 1 degree there. So obviously that's 0, and you've got a degree either side. Now you are allowed a tolerance with these sort of things. It doesn't say in the Haynes manual what this tolerance is on this car, so I'm going to shoot for, sort of about 0.22 or something, or 22 minutes. So you've got there 10 with what looks like a foot sign. It's actually a minute sign. Is that one on this one? So you've got 1 degree, and then you've got that. So 0, and then to that one will be 10 minutes. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes gets you to a degree. And then it's sort of 1 minute, 1 degree, 10 minutes, 1 degree, 20 minutes, 1 degree, 30 minutes from there on. The one that I'm looking for is going to be around about this line here somewhere. So that's between 20 and 30 minutes of tow out is what we want on a Mini. And like I say, you'll have to check that on your own car if you're doing a different car. But this will work on most cars. The alignments are more or less the same procedures. You might have different track rod ends, but the process is the same. It's the principle. You are just shortening or lengthening that tie rod and that track rod end just to get your wheels in line, and you're going to use the same gauge. So yeah, we'll get the gauge set up. Well, I've already loosened the track rod ends off. I've already loosened off the lock nuts on the track rod ends right to the end. I've measured them. There was 24 on this side and 22 on the passenger side. I've made them equal to 24. I'll get the gauges set up, show you how that's done, and then I'll show you doing that, and then I'll get the gauges set up. Yeah. Watch the video. Okay, so what you need to do to get your steering centralised, or your steering rack centralised even, if you're not 100% sure that your steering wheel's in the right position, I will say thanks Randy again for that torch, it's brilliant. 7/32 or 30 seconds, whatever you'd call it, Allen key. Undo the little nut there, there's a little bung there, undo the little nut, put it somewhere safe, and then there should be a little hole in your steering rack. Now my steering wheel's in the straight ahead position there, so if I turn I'll put my keys in. If I turn the steering wheel, yeah, so you can see that it locks. So my steering wheel is centralised. So you can tell out with your tyres. Now these ones, I don't know if you'll be able to see, just there, that ridge there, you can see it's it's stuck up. Now the reason it's doing that is because my tyres they've got too much toe in, and they're scrubbing, and it's scrubbing the road that way. So it's flicking these bits up, and it's like on all the tread patterns, but you can't really see them as much as that one. So, and as well, the tyres are getting quite warm as I'm driving. And it's just generally, you can sort of feel it, you know it's not right. So we're going to do this now. The first thing you need to do really is make sure that your adjustment threads are actually decent. Now I know these are brand new. All my other suspension components are all refurbished and brand new, so that's the first thing you do, is make sure there's no wear on any of the items, make sure everything's all greased up. And then if you're happy with all that, you need to start cleaning these threads up here, because obviously your lock nut has got to come back up here, and you'll have to use them threads to adjust toe in and toe out by winding it in and winding it out. So I'm just going to get a wire brush, get some WD-40, clean the threads up on both sides and wind the lock nuts all the way back, but without moving the actual arm. So I'll show you that in a minute. What I'll do, I don't want to twist my trackward end too much, because you'll start damaging the actual bush inside. So I'm just going to pop that on there, so I can crack that off, and then we'll support the trackward again. Okay, once I'm going to dig these up, you won't think it. Ooh. There we go. So that's just loosened a bit. So back on here. And we'll just loosen that lock nut. It doesn't have to go all the way back, I suppose, but I'm going to wind it back just so we know the threads are clear. Just trying to keep hold of it. I'll come back to you in a minute. Right, okay, welcome back. So that was a bit of a pain. I would imagine it's a sort of the first time in a lot of years that's been to the end of that thread. But I've got it all the way to the end of the thread. It's it's not done up super tight, but it is locked onto the end. So what I've done, I've just put a bit of tape around there and just put it up like that, just so that I know how many rotations I'm doing. It does make it a lot easier, especially when I've got any sort of little sort of place where you can put a spanner on, because you can't see. So little top tip there. Now what I need to do, get my verniers, my calipers even. I just want to see the distance between from there to there, and because we're doing we have to make adjustments equally, so we have to start off equal on the other side as well. We have to get these distances exactly the same, and then we can start making adjustments by doing, say, a quarter of a turn on each side to get the correct toe in and toe out. So I'll just measure this quickly if I can get my calipers in anywhere. Just gonna have to go down here, I think. There. Now you can obviously use a ruler, you can count how many threads are sticking out, but your easiest way is to do it like that. And I have, let's see here, I've got 24 mil sticking out exactly, which makes things easier. So I want to get the other side showing the same as this one, so that we're starting off equal. So I'll go and do the other side quickly, you don't need to see that, and then we'll crack on. So I'll get that, like I say, the other side I will either equal this side to that or that side to this. This side's a bit easy to get to just in my garage, so I'll probably make this one equal to the other side, and then we'll start making adjustments from there. Right, Jesus. That side is really hard to get down into. just because it's right near the garage wall, so I'm sort of like that trying to do it. And it was very rusted on the threads, but a lot of oil, a lot of cleaning, perseverance. We got it. So we got that lock nut is all to the end. It's taped up, exactly the same orientation. I did that after I adjusted it. So that side was 22, so the passenger side was 22 mil between the end of the lock nut to the end of the track rod, and that side was 24. So we're both now exactly at 24. The steering is centred, so all that's left to do now is to actually hook up the gauges and get it going. Now, like I said, you want to be on flat level ground. You want to make sure that all your suspension components are in good condition, there's no wear there. You want to make sure that your tyres are all the same pressure. Now, I don't know what the actual specs are for the Mini. So I've got the Haynes manual. If you are wondering, it's chapter 10, page 2 in your Haynes manual. We'll leave that out. And what I'm going to be using is Track Ace. Now, the story goes with this one of my friends at work were working in a bloke's house. Got chatting like you do, and he says, I'm an entrepreneur. I was on Dragon's Den, and he actually made this device. So it's made in Leeds. Well, it's probably not made in Leeds, but it was invented in Leeds. So whatever, you know, all the more reasons to use it. Now, I have read some reviews. It is supposed to be quite a good little gadget. It does take a bit of setting up and a bit of getting your head around on how it all works, but does seem like a very good little gadget. Like I said, the guy my friend who works in his house, he basically got this for nothing. I think he got 2 actually. So you can get them online. I think they're on Amazon and the eBay and the usual places. Nice little case, to be fair, sort of a plastic cardboardy type thing. You get 2 stands, what for holding your pole. Obviously you get your pole with your little mirror and your bubble to make sure you're level. You get some instructions, which I will be using. I think there's also some conversion charts in the back of here as well. If required, simply add decimal fraction. Christ, I don't even know what that means. We'll have to have a look at that. We'll have a look at them. I have watched a couple of videos online from the guy that made it. It seems to be a bit like the old Dunlop gauges, apart from you don't have sort of one either side. You've got a mirror and an optical gauge. They were quite good, them, the old Dunlop gauges. But we don't have them. So we have this, which is there's a laser in there, and that will shine out towards the mirror and bounce back onto here, depending on if you've got toe in or toe out. Now that one, I don't know if you can see that, it is showing in minutes and degrees, so I need to find out what 1.58 is in minutes and degrees. But we'll figure that out. What I'll do, I'll try and get it set up first so you can see what you sort of do with it. And then yeah, just while I'm here, I'll just sort of hook these little doodads up. So these just basically go onto here, like so, and you put that on your wheel, sort of on the floor, resting against your wheel with these bits, obviously on the inside of the rim. Very important. Then you just make sure that you've got it all leveled up on here, and that you adjust your mirror so it's shining. But there's more to it than that. I've got to read the instructions, and I'll come back to you very shortly. Right, so your first step is calibration. Now, there's a few things you need to just take into account here. Obviously making sure your wheel's in the same position. You want to use the inside edge of your wheel. You don't want to use the outside edge here because you can have sort of chip and curb marks. So whenever you're putting your gauges on or anything like that, you want to use the inside edge just like that. And what you want to do, you want to just make sure that this is as straight as it can be, just along there. So you can see I've got that set up just there, straight as it can be. And you want a little bit of an angle on there, just like that. And then what you're going to do, you are going to take your actual sort of laser device, hang on a second. Take your little laser turned off, pop that back on there, hold it at a little bit of an angle away from the wheel so that you're going to clear it, and you need to make sure that you're using this edge to get that straight and upright. So something like that, and that's it. Okay, so that's just measuring the distance away from it. Then what you want to do, obviously you've got these bits built up, bring this down to your passenger side and just rest that in as central to the wheel as you can get it. And what you want to do, I don't know if you can see the bubble down here, Probably not, but you want to make sure that you pull either leg up and down to get that bubble centralised. So we'll just move that back one down a bit, and you can see there the bubble's centralised. Okay. Now keep the mirror pointing towards the ground, like that. And now, oh, that's a bit all over the place, sorry. We can turn on the actual laser beam. Now it's pointing just here. So what we need to do, we'll just adjust that just by tilting this bit back, and you'll see that laser go onto the actual mirror at the bottom. Look, you can see down there. We just about missed it. So we're on there now. You can see the laser pointing back to the floor as well. Okay. Now that bit's done, you come back to this side, and holding the middle of the bar, you're going to tilt this back up towards the actual scale on the laser. So if I shine you over there, you might just see it come into focus shortly. Just do it slowly, take your time. Hopefully. Sorry, I'm watching this through a screen, it's a bit hard to... Yeah, it's coming. Oh, I think I went too far, did I? Right, so we're over there. See if I can get something with a clearer view. So you can see it just popped up there, so we're just off the scale. Oh. Just off the scale there. So what we need to do now, just moving this a bit side. We'll leave that there. You can see it shining down here. What it says in the book to do is to just get something, well, it's actually quite, there's a bit of a leaf there. Find where it is in the middle, get a bit of a datum point there, and you're going to move the laser into that point. So that I was just messing up a little bit, so I just need to re-aim that, and you can see that's just pointing to there, just like so. Okay, then once that's on there, you just tilt your gauge backwards and forwards, bringing that into line with the 0, like so. Just a bit of a high spot there, and then we'll go back to the other side and just aim the gauge up a little bit, aim the mirror up a little bit, so it's bang on that line. So I just slowly bring that up a little bit, slow as you can, up to that point, just gone too far, about there, and then we'll just fine adjust that. So again, you're not moving this sort of side to side, you are just literally tilting the back of it, just to bring that into line. So that's on the 0 now. So that's the calibration done. What we now need to do is bring this, just be careful moving it across so you don't move anything too much. Bring it across to your driver's side. Again, pop it on centrally, just like that. And you're going to move your mirror down to find exactly how much you've got. So I'm moving the mirror down now, exactly the same way, holding the bar in the centre. Bring it down, it's coming down, it's coming down. There we go. So you can see there, I'm towing in. I'm at about 15 minutes towing. So what I will need to do to bring that back into line, I'll just show you from this side of the car, it'll be easier. If you've got too much towing, which is what it's doing, so I've got 15 degrees, so I want to be at, well, 20 degrees tow out. I've got to shorten, because my track is on this side, at the back of the wheel, I've got to shorten that distance to bring the wheel out. So I'll have to tighten both sides to bring the wheels back out. I'll have to do that equally. So I'll get a pair of grips. It's going to be a bit tricky getting underneath the car, but it is doable, and you're only making slight adjustments at a time. So make a quarter of a turn, do the process again, don't move that at all. Do slight adjustments, quarter of a turn at a time, half a turn at a time, whatever you fancy, and then come back to it and check it. So I'll make them adjustments and then we'll come back and check it. Right, so I have done half a turn equally on each side. I've watched my tape come from the top to the bottom. So I've done exactly half a turn on each side. Now, what you need to do, you need to put this gauge back onto the passenger side. Make sure it's zeroed, and then come back to this side, and that will again calculate by a method of a triangle your total toe out. So you can see that at the minute I am on, where I'm getting where, 30 minutes of toe out, and I want to be just between sort of the low 20s. So yeah, what I'll do, I'll just show you as well. So that's on 30 there. The way you sort of zero your gauge, and you can also check that it's accurate by doing this. You get an accurate reading. Bring it back to your passenger side again, across the centre, level it up with your little legs down here. Sorry, it's just a bit difficult with one hand. So we're leveled up there in the bubble. We're going to turn that again by the centre bar down towards the gauge, and we should, if everything's set up correctly, reach 0. I've just moved that. I'll just check it's level down this side again. No, it's not. So it's me moving it. Just check here. Right. Yep, we're level on the bubble again. So we're a bit high there, so I'll just have to bring that down a little bit. Just a bit hard to pivot it down because it just tends to move the legs a little bit. Where are we? Really, it is quite tricky. We're just doing it with one hand, but we'll get there. Where are we? Where have we gone? So we're level on the gauge. Bring it up just slightly, and you can see there. Leave it there. I'll have a wander over. So you can see there, it's bang on where it needs to be, bang in the centre of the 0. So we know that the gauge is set up exactly how it should be. And this is a bit about it, is you can get repeatability. Bring it back to your driver's side, set it up so it's level. So I'll just, sorry, set it up level, like that. Tilt it down this time, so you level, because currently it's on the ceiling. Bring it down, you'll start to see it come down, and we should, like I said, we've measured this once before, we should be getting 30 minutes. Bang on the money. And that is just from rotating that bar. There's no sort of twisting and anything. Again, we're still leveling the bubble, so we know we need to just, we've got too much toe out now, ever so slightly. We need to just compensate for that, so maybe an 1/8 of a turn or something. Should bring that back into line. So I'll do that now and we'll check it again. So again, just to adjust, just got a torch, small pair of channel locks or adjustable grips. We'll get down there and we'll just get that adjusted out. Just move that away, make sure you don't move any of your prongs while you're doing it. So now we want to lengthen that track, sort of bring the toe in. Again, if you've got track on at the front of your tyres, at the front of your wheels, it's kind of the opposite. So just make sure that what you're doing is having the right effect. If it's not, that's why you count your turns and you have a tape there, just so that you can make corrections. So we'll do an 1/8 of a turn and then we'll recheck it and see where it's at. Just wants a little tweak. You see, I weren't giving to you when I said it was tight down there. It's good job on thin. Right. So again, you can see it's all in action now. I've just got 2 hands this time, I can do it. Zero your gauge. So we're going to level it off, which is level now. And then we're going to tilt it up, watch where it comes to. So we should be getting 0 on this. Bang on the money, bang on 0. Let's get in for a close look and check it. bang on zero there. Pick up your gauge carefully, move it to your driver's side, and that's calculating from that triangle of beam that you're shining at it, how much you've got. So I pop it on here, and I'll bring it down and have a look at it, see if we're right. Hopefully now you can see, just look a bit off from this side, but we're pretty much bang on the money there, so I want to be. These are little sort of 5 increment just there, we're pretty much just about on that 5. So we're at 25 minutes to out from the sort of reading that I've done online on the mini forum and stuff. 25 minutes to out is exactly what you want, so we're smashing there. I'm dead happy with that. The gauges have worked pretty well. Right. We're done. So we've nothing more but a simple few hand tools, like for example adjustable pliers, a pair of channel locks, that's quite a big pair, small pair just to making them find something that's quite easy, so 1 or 2 pairs of grips depending on what you've got, bit of oil, bit of penetrating fluid, a wire brush to clean the threads up, some vernier calipers or digital calipers, whatever you've got, tape measure, counting the threads, that one's a nicety. A little bit of tape, again a nicety, just to see where you are. You could mark it with a scribe or a pen, or just try and remember it, but it is tricky to do that. With nothing more than just that stuff, we have aligned the wheels, nothing more of that stuff, and of course track ace. We've aligned the wheels to where they should be. Now this is recommended as a bit of a, this will get you pretty close. Maybe go to a garage and get it done properly by a proper setup, but I think it does state in here somewhere that this is very accurate in itself. So if you do it all right, this is accurate to 1 minute. So that's pretty good. It's accurate to within 1 minute, and it will also do wheels from what is it saying here? We'll do vehicles with as little as 100mm ground clearance and up to 22-inch wheels. So it'll do from pretty much that size wheel to 22-inch wheels, which is brilliant. So I would definitely recommend Track Ace. You know, the Dunlop gauges that I used to use were good. They're about £200. They are very simple to use, but to be fair, once you get your head around this system and how it works and how it's using that triangulation to create the complete total toe, it's actually really simple. Yeah, Track Ace, I'd definitely recommend it. I know that you can get Gunson Track Right as a cheap alternative, but I think that relies on you driving your wheels onto it. You can get various other gauges. You can get a garage to do it if you want. You know, a garage doesn't cost much to have it done. They're going to have some quite good results because they're using quite good equipment there. But if you're a DIYer like me, you want to do everything yourself, then definitely Track Ace is brilliant. And the best part of it is that you can just check. You can check it whenever you want. It doesn't cost you anything to go get it checked. You just pop it in your garage or on a flat surface somewhere and have a go. So anyway, all I need to do now is just lock them lock nuts back onto the track rod ends, making sure that nothing moves. I will, of course, because I've got it to my disposal, check it once I've done that and make sure that nothing has moved, and then take it for a spin. Oh, and don't forget to put your bung back in and take an Allen cap before you do try and drive it anywhere. You might snap something. So yeah, take that out, pop that little bolt back in, pop your bung back on, take it for a spin. Make sure everything's tight. We've not had the wheels off, we've not had the car up in the air. So let's just take it for a spin, see how you feel. If it's still pulling to one side or it's doing something funny, then probably a bit beyond this kit. You probably need to take it to a garage and have it inspected, or look at more things like suspension components. But if your car's driving better than before, result. So just to summarise the episode, I've sort of moved the car backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards a couple of times. I've made sure that my steering wheel is centralised again. and I've just put the gauges on. Now this is in a slightly different location than it was before, maybe about half a foot towards this these units behind me. And I've just put the gauges on again. Centralised them at this side from sort of driver's side to passenger side, centralised it, popped it onto a driver's wheel to get that triangulated angle, and I am showing at pretty much bang on between 20 and 25 minutes. So definitely repeatable, definitely accurate. Yeah, I can't wait to see what it drives like. I will let you know how that goes on the next video, which will be, like I say, sorting out that creak on the back. It's just too late to drive it now. Despite what you might think, it is past 10 o'clock, and yeah, there we go. So, before I get asked in the comments, because I know that it's going to be a question coming up, where can I get Track Ace? Well, your answer is, you can get it on eBay, I think, you can get it on Amazon, definitely, and you can get it from Track Ace's website. Again, I haven't paid for this. It says I've lent it off a friend got it from Track Ace themselves. So I'm not affiliated with Track Ace in any way. You buying it does not get me any money. I'm not promoting anything. I would recommend the product. I think it's quite good, and for the price, I can see the benefit to it, and it is quite an accurate little tool as well. So I would definitely recommend it. Track Ace have done some YouTube videos, and there's also some videos on the website. Again, I'll put links to all this down below, which are the videos that I've done are actually really in depth, really thorough. It's focused solely on tracking a vehicle. There's 4 parts to it. There's sort of little mini clips, so like 5 minutes a piece. But yeah, definitely, if you've watched my video and you find yourself a bit stuck or haven't explained things great, obviously I don't, this isn't my brainchild, it's theirs. So if you are struggling with my video, head over and watch their video. Hopefully that'll make more sense to you. Or you might have got more sense out of mine, I don't know. I did struggle at first as well, so go and check it out, see what you think. I definitely recommend the product, it's very good. Yeah, it's good. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, share if you want. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one, which might be the next one. I have got a creak coming from the back suspension. I did do one radius arm, I didn't do the other one. It felt okay. So what I'm going to do just now, actually, I'm going to pump some grease into the driver's side radius arm and just see if that eases that creaking and squeaking a little bit. If it does, radius arm shot, needs changing. Means reaming. Fun. If it's not that, then it could be something like a damper bush, or that's what it can be really, I suppose. So yeah, join me on the next one. See you later.